Welcome back, Stasa23 here, back again with some knife therapy. And before I get started, if you like this video, please hit that thumbs up button so I know you're enjoying the content. And if you're not, thumbs down will work as well. Either way, I'm good. Today I have for you the Artisan Cutlery and Michal Gavac, or Gavko Great White. Great White comes in at $200. I picked this up off of knifecenter.com. Great place to do business with. So let's get into the knife, get an idea of how big this knife is. It's on the large side. It's total length of 8.45 inches, a blade length of 3.79 inches, a grip area from here to here of 4.23 inches. The width closed in the pocket from this point to here is 1.4 inches, and it's rather slim in the thickness department. 0.44 inches. You know, the average is around 0.5, which is a half inch. Your blade stock thickness is a pretty hefty 0.14 inches. And from my readings on my calipers, the thickness behind the edge on my particular knife in the recurve ranges from 18 to 20 thousandths in this area. And in the tanto section, or tanto, whatever you want to call it, it's a little bit beefier at 23 to 24 thousandths. Let's take a close look at that. Very interesting. One thing to note, all of Gavko's knife designs are named after sharks. He has the nurse, the mako, the thresher, the tiger, and that's the ones that I know offhand. I own a nurse and a thresher, and I've always been attracted to his designs. And I've been following Gavko knives all the way from the beginning on YouTube. And if you ever want to learn a lot about knives, definitely go check out his channel. He's not that active anymore, but he used to do so many how-to videos. And I credit him and people like Tough Knives and stuff like that that kind of inspired me to do modifications and try to get into knife making myself. So definitely go check him out if you're interested in seeing really awesome content on how-tos and stuff like that. Great guy. But the Great White, this knife is, bigger than I normally go for, and that blade shape is not something I usually go for. It's got more of that tactical look to it. And, knowing Gavko's style, this does not shock me at all. He likes to, do what he thinks looks good and what he thinks will cut good. You have this harpoon, tanto right here, recurve. So harpoon, tanto, recurve. That's a mouthful there. You got a satin finish that's very reflective. You can see my red shirt right there. You have a vertical satin on the primary bevel right here and on the top swedge, and then you have a horizontal satin on the flats. And on this side you have the Artisan logo right there and the Gavko logo right here, as well as a serial number, the blade steel, which is S35VN, and Gavko knives right there, and then right here it says China. You have a nice opening hole that has been chamfered all the way around, so it's not sharp. You have a usable forward finger choil and a perfect spot for that thumb to place right there to get you some nice leverage and nice pressure behind your cuts. I used to not be that big of into recurves just because they're a pain in the butt to sharpen, but it's not the hardest thing in the world if you just touch it, keep it maintained on, say, like the corners of a Spyderco sharp maker with those triangle rods, or a Lansky turn box or something like that. Or my particular system has a set of curved rods, so not the hardest for me anymore. And I definitely like the usefulness, because when you start into a cut, when you're pulling that recurve, how it's going down is going to stay into that cut and bite a lot deeper. Then you have that mean, aggressive tanto right there. I just overall thought it looked like a cool knife. Sometimes that's all that really needs to be, is cool. Um, and it can be a useful tool as well. That top swedge really sets off. You got all kinds of lines here. You got the top swedge right here, then goes into that grind. Just so much to look at, in my opinion. Let's close it up. You got a nicely tuned detent that keeps that big blade in there. Let's listen to that. Nice detent, and it's perfectly dialed in for a thumb flick. You can slow roll it, and my favorite is the Spidey flick. Easily done with that long opening hole, and I like how this place right there to put your thumb makes it really easy to open up the knife. It's riding on ceramic bearings, and it has a ceramic detent ball. You have a great blade to handle ratio, almost 1-to-1. It's pretty close to the end right here. You don't have to worry about coming in contact with that tip or the back of the blade in the closed position. You have standard hardware of T8 on the pivot and T6 on the body. Wish they would bring these to T8. Come on, Artisan. Your handle scales have very slight contouring, and all the edges have been softened by, looks like a little chamfer going around right there. You have a gray, like bead blast finish on the titanium. You have a small flush titanium backspacer with the Artisan Cutlery engraved in it. This side, you can see you have a 3D milled titanium pocket clip that has a little bit of contouring right here in the back, and it has a nice spring to it. It's one thing that I was kind of worried about, because this is the standard Gavko style clip that's on the thresher, and I was worried because that one was very stiff in my opinion, and it was hard for me to get it in and out of the pocket. But let's check it out in the pocket. This one works rather well, and that lip right there, as it comes up, it allows you to slip it in and out of the pocket. You do have a decent bit sticking out, but you do have something to grab a hold of. And he did not break up the lines by adding any lanyard hole, and there is no lanyard post. So if you're a lanyard person, sorry. You can actuate the knife, open the knife left-handed. Let's see, you can spidey flick it, but your clip is only tip up, right hand carry only. But I wouldn't be scared to carry this in my left pocket, because you're not going to come in contact with that tip. You know, putting your hand in there, you don't have to worry about it. So however you want to carry it. It does ride well into the pocket because it's decently slim right here. I mean, it does stick out right here, but nothing that's going to get in your way when you put your hands there. And it hugs the pocket really well. So I didn't find it to be cumbersome as big as the knife is. Let's check out the weight on this. .11 ounces, and it's not that ounce an inch, not that I care, but definitely manageable, especially being that the balance point on this knife is perfectly into the center right there, so it makes this knife feel a lot lighter in hand, and I don't feel like it's going to tip forward or back whenever I'm kind of like moving the knife around in my hand whatsoever. Into the ergos. In this choke up position, this is probably my favorite right here. In this choke up, I can either put my finger right there to push down or pull it forward like that to do a slicing motion. Also, I love how I can put my hand up right here and really control that needle-like tip. Now that tip is a little dainty, so you're definitely not going to want to do any prying with this. I know I wouldn't. Now, as far as the ergos on the back part right here, I will say in hand at first it felt pretty good, but after doing some extensive cutting and first I started out with boxes, breaking down some boxes and just doing a lot of cutting, repetition, and I noticed how slim this handle gets in the back right here. It really starts to fatigue the hand. My hand was getting cramped up just because I'm really having to hold on to this back because it gets so slim right there. And I would think if you had larger hands, that might bother you a little bit more. But like I said, this grip right here was very, very good for me, at least in all the testing that I did with this particular knife. The access to that lock bar is easy for me. I like to just jam the fat of my thumb in there, but you can also do it right here. It's sitting pretty flush, but they do have a chamfer on both sides, and I have not found it hard to get to the lock bar whatsoever. The knife has absolutely no play left or right, absolutely no play up or down, and it is nice and smooth. I think my buddy LTK from Love Them Knives did a disassembly of this knife, so if you want to see what it looks like on the inside of this, go check out his channel. He does some great videos as well. There is no internal milling in here, and that's probably part of the reason of the extra weight. But I don't think you need to do it because it's not a heavy knife for the size of the knife. Let's get some size comparisons out of the way, and then I'll give you some of my little nitpicks and complaints that I've found along the way. Great size comparison is the Ontario Rat Model 1. These two are pretty close in size. The Rat Model 1 is just a hair longer. Another one, the Civivi Governor. The Governor is also another good size reference in length and kind of in handle, but the Governor is a little bit wider back here, so it fills the hand out better. Governor is a little bit longer and a lot cheaper. Let's see. Another, took the wrong knife up. My bad. Another artisan made knife, just from a different, they're cheaper brand. This is the Centros Gill and Mallory design. Now these two are they're if not the same exact size and length, they're darn near close. And this one has that same slim feeling, except it kind of kicks up out here. So this one's not. It didn't fatigue my hand as much using this knife as this one, but definitely a good size comparison. And one more, we have the Kershaw bare knuckle. Bare knuckle is a little bit shorter. Alrighty, so my nitpicks and complaints. Let's see. First off, the satin finish. Let me wipe it down so maybe you can see this a little better. I don't love this type of satin finish. Either give me some grind lines or whatever, but they take it to a certain, what looks like they're doing is they're taking it to a certain grit, and then they're putting a Scotch-Brite belt on it and maybe buffing it to give it that polished effect. And in turn, it gives it that milky look. And then you can see these striations right here that the finish isn't done evenly, at least on mine. So I'm just OCD about that kind of stuff. It looks better on this side. It's fairly even, but this side you can see some inconsistencies. Not a big deal, not hurting the functionality. Just like this next one. You have the Gavko logo here, and if in that you can see in the inside right there. Let's see if I can. I don't know. I'm gonna try something. Let's see. Got my sharpening loop that I use. Let's see if I can get this. This might be a fail, but we'll try. Yeah, I'm too far away and it's too hard. Sorry if I gave y'all a headache. But inside that Gavko logo, it says Gavko in there. And then you have the Artisan logo right here. I don't see the need to have this serial number right there. Just give me the blade steel. You could leave the China off, and you don't need to put Gavko knives because we already know that. It says Gavko in there, and that's his maker's mark. And being you have the Artisan logo right here, I don't see the need to write Artisan Cutlery on the backspacer. That's just me, just my little nitpicks, not hurting the functionality of the knife whatsoever. Now this kind of bummed me out, and this is, to me, something that they definitely should get right, especially on a recurve, because some people, can't sharpen a recurve that well, or they don't want to have to sharpen the recurve that well, and that scares them off as is. But mine did not come that sharp. I have stropped it up to where it does have a working edge on it, but it wasn't sharp out of box. Now the front part, yes, it was nice and sharp. Just the recurve didn't come as sharp. Also in use, I noticed this bead blast they use is very slick, and being that you have a skinny handle as is, it's just, I don't know. Luckily you have this nice deep choil, and I feel locked in, but I would like, if they're going to do a blast, do it a little bit rougher so it's not as slick, but that's just begging for some anno work. And let's see, one more, like I said, and I talked about this earlier, being that the handle's slimmer in this area, whenever I'm holding it back here, I felt, some fatigue in hand, just holding on to it tighter. But I will say I did most of my cutting up here, so I was close to that edge, because back here you're rather far with this big forward finger choil. You're far from the cutting edge. So, if you're one that likes to choke up, this is a good one to do it on. But if you like holding your knives back right here and you want to comfortably put your thumb in this little area, this back area will cause some fatigue after a good bit of cutting, or at least in my medium-sized hands it did. So there you go. That is the Artisan Cutlery and Michal Gavac Great White. Overall, I think it's a really cool knife. It does have some room for improvement, but if none of those nitpicks or complaints bother you at all, then I'd say go for it. It seems like a pretty solid knife. Lockup's still good. Let's see. Yep, geometry's good. I can't like force the lock over any. Oh, and I don't even think it does have a stainless steel lock bar insert and over travel. So there you go. Gavko knives, Great White. If you have it, let me know what you think about it. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them down below. And don't forget to like the video if you like it. And if not, thumbs down works as well. Hope everybody's having an absolute wonderful day. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.